and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right we have an Asvine, and this is the P80. We have a Jinhao 1919. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne, a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Robert Louis Stevenson. We have a newer Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Jane Austen. We have a Conway Stewart, and this is the Centenary with a Henry Simpole overlay or filigree. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Le Petit Prince Aviator Solitaire Doué. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Brothers Grimm, a Montblanc Writer's Edition Sir Arthur Conan Doyle 1902, and then we have a Parker Prestige Ruthenium Chisel. So let's take a look at these pens inked up in a little bit more detail. So this is the Asvine, and you can see here it says Asvine there, and it says P80. So this P signifies piston, V signifies vac, and I've seen some others like an M, and which I think is an M is cartridge converter, which I don't quite understand the designation on that. I think actually that might be more Hongdian actually, but I'm pretty sure I've also seen it in Asvine as well. There are other letters that signify cartridge converter other than maybe C. But this is a beautiful pen. This is a pen that was sent to me through Amazon by Dr. Joe Vitolo. He gifted me this pen. He's liking more Chinese pens lately, and he gifted a number of us on his Zoom this pen or a bunch of pens, and I received this Asvine P80. It comes with a medium nib because he knows I like medium nibs. He's more of an extra fine nib person. I'm more of a medium nib person. You can post that cap, and it will post fairly securely. It will post onto the back of that piston mechanism. So you do have to be a little bit careful there. But it's a really nice looking pen, and I've got a number of these in the vac fillers with the flat top. I think they're called the Asvine V169, I think. And I like those a lot. And I like the overlay on this. It reminds me of a Visconti watermark in many ways. I do like that a lot. It's a nice size pen. I think the overlay makes it a little bit thicker and chunkier. The next pen inked up is a classic Jinhao 1919. These are cheap pens. They come around about £10 or €10 or $10 US. They are very thick, fat pens. They are Montblanc 149 size, but it has a massive ink converter there. If I unscrew that, you'll see it a little bit more, but that is a huge ink converter. So I kind of like it for that, and although I've got some coloured versions of this, I really do like this transparent version. I think it just looks nice with the gold coloured hardware on it, or trim and converter. Can you post the cap? You can. It will post deeply and securely. I kind of call this the Fat Boy because it really is a large pen. But it's a cheap pen. The nibs are a bit hit and miss on them, like a lot of Jinhaos. Sometimes they can write a little bit too narrow and not have good ink flow and be a bit scratchy or toothy on the nib. And other times they can come out of the box and write perfectly. This one I think wrote perfectly out of the box. I've got a few that haven't. But providing you can learn how to tune the nib, then it shouldn't be much of a problem. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne. I picked this up. I did a trade with a friend, Tony, for a couple of my Visconti Millionaires. I've always wanted this model, and I really love it. That blue enamel guilloche there is absolutely stunning. So I picked this one up this year. I think it was May time, and it's got a lovely nib there as well. The Montblancs are all piston filling pens. This one you can post the cap and it will post deeply and securely. 90% I would say of writers' editions that I've seen do not post the caps. So you do have to be a little bit wary about that if you're a cap poster. If you like the look of some of these Montblancs, then you might have to think twice about whether or not you really want it or not. But if you don't post your caps that often or don't feel the need, then that's fine. Go ahead and buy it. The next pen inked up is this one. It's a Montblanc Writer's Edition, Robert Louis Stevenson, that I picked up in February, I think it was, this year. You've got a lovely pirate cross and skull there. And it's really to denounce the... I can never remember the story. I always want to say Pirates of the Caribbean or Caribbean. But it's was it the Treasure Island? I was going to say Lost Island, Treasure Island. But it's a beautiful pen. I do like it a lot. It's got a lot of theme to it. You've got the dates there of Treasure Island. You've got I think I always thought it was a sword clip, but a number of people have said to me it's more of the peg leg of a pirate. You've got a lot of X's here, and then a massive X that marks the spot there. And then you have this, which is the magnifying telescope as well. And you have a nice number 6 size nib there from Montblanc. It is a piston filling pen. No, you can't post the cap. It's not designed to be done. I don't know why Montblanc take this approach on their writers' editions to more lately to not post the caps. I'm only taking a guess here, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to hazard a guess that it might just be that they don't want to limit themselves in terms of design. And that way then they can do something nice with the end cap or the piston filling knob and not have to worry, not have to compromise in any way. And that might be the reason about it. I don't know. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen. And I'd have to say that this one you cannot post. But it has a longer cone piston knob on it. But again, though, you cannot post it. So maybe I'm wrong in that assumption. But this is a beautiful pen. And it says by a lady, which is Jane Austen there. You've got this beautiful clip here, which is the clip. It's to signify a drawstring bag that ladies of the era, women of the era, used to carry around. The cap is a step-down sort of coat or jacket that men used to wear. You do actually have Jane Austen's signature there as well on the body of the pen. And you have her silhouette there on the number 6 size medium nib. But like I said, you cannot post this cap. It's not designed to post. And so I don't know really. I'd love to ask Montblanc at some point, if I ever get to talk to anybody at Montblanc, why they don't allow you to post those caps. Because I know a lot of you do like to post your caps, and it is limiting potentially the user base of who would buy their pens, and that's never normally a good thing. But then again, there's probably a good 30-40% of my pens in my collection that cannot be posted, so it's a kind of a thing that you can't always rely on being able to post a cap to the pen. But that said, it does seem a little bit weird that most of the writer's editions you cannot post that cap. The next pen inked up is a Conway Stewart Centenary. This is a 100-year pen to commemorate 100 years of Conway Stewart, and it was a shame. I think it was like, I want to say it's something like 105, 106, maybe 110 years, where then when Conway Stewart had to shut its doors. So they did reach the centenary, but not that long after they had to shut their doors, which is sad. This is a pen that was made in 2006. It was aimed to be made in 2005. Not entirely sure what the issues were. I remember seeing some posts by Henry Simpole saying that the aim was to have it made in 2005, but various reasons it wasn't ready until 2006. I don't know if that was because he couldn't make 100 of these overlays in time, or if this was a Conway Stewart issue. I do not know. Unfortunately, Henry Simpole has passed. He passed away in 2020, so that also made me want to not only get an original Conway Stewart with one of their original nibs, but also a Henry Simpole overlay. So this is sterling silver 925, and you've got a two-tone Conway Stewart nib there. I only had the option of getting this in abroad. It was a private seller that had originally bought 4 of these, or at least 4 of these, from Conway Stewart in 2006. And he was selling them, and he'd sold one. I bought the second, and he's still got 2 on eBay, or at least he did. I don't know if anyone's bought them yet. I've not checked back. You can post the cap. It will post securely. Not deeply, but it really looks a lovely pen, but it's very back weighted because of the weight of that silver there in the cap. It's a beautiful pen. I like this pen a lot, and very glad that I was able to add that one to my collection. Bittersweet, obviously, because of Henry Simpole. I wish I could have met him. He was a really good silversmith in the UK. A little bit like Paul Rossi in the US. They both did very good work, and I never got to meet either of them. And if any of you that are watching my videos did get to meet them, then you are very lucky. And I wish I had been around maybe a little bit longer in the pen community to have been able to have gone and met at least Henry Simpole. I probably wouldn't have been able to have met Paul Rossi unless I flew out to the States. But yeah, it's a shame that we lose people in this community. And I wanted a pen. I've got pens from that Paul Rossi helped make on the classic pens, LB5s, etc. that I've got. And likewise, I've also got this pen now with a Henry Simpole overlay. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Le Petit Prince Aviator Solitaire Doué. Bit of a mouthful, I know, in terms of name. It's a 146 size. A Solitaire is the sort of platinum coating, I believe, and then a Doué is 2 different materials that are used. You've got the little Prince star there. You've got the plane of the Aviator. You've got the planet. You've got the sand dunes here. This pen really is a lovely pen. Very glad that I bought this when I did. Number 6 size medium nib there. It's a piston filling pen. And no, you cannot. Well, actually, you can post that cap. It's just not going to stay on there. So it really doesn't post. But it's a decent size in my hand. I bought this second hand, but it had never been inked. So, or if it had, it certainly was very, very dry. That there was no traces of ink on that nib. So, if it had been, it had been cleaned out very well. But I don't think it had, and I'm glad that I picked that one up when I did. I also picked up a couple of days later the Brothers Grimm, the Montblanc Writer's Edition model, and I'd wanted this for a while, and I was so glad I was able to pick this one up. There were 2 in a retailer, a jeweler's shop in the UK, and I was able to get one. I actually ordered mine, and somebody else beat me to it, but they had a second one and I was able to get that one. Again, you can't post the cap on this, which is a shame, but it is a piston filling pen, and that might be the reason that Montblanc are doing this, that you can't post the caps, because they don't want you to post the caps, because you're going to be posting onto the piston knob. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Sir Arthur Conan Doyle 1902 edition. You can see the very large mother of pearl snowflake there. You've got a magnifying glass. You also have the Hound of the Baskervilles there as well. You've got various London street names or station names, and you've got a wooden piston knob. And if I unscrew the cap, you've got Sir Arthur Conan Doyle there on the nib as well. Again, you can't post this cap. I definitely wouldn't want to do so being wood, but it's a decent size in my hand. I really, really love this pen a lot. I do like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's stories. I do really like Sherlock Holmes, so that was the reason for me picking up that pen. And then the last pen inked up is the Parker Duofold Prestige Ruthenium in the Chisel. And I don't think I've seen any other colours or models in the Chisel range. I think this is the only one. It's very nice. It's very much like a Parker Prestige, like chevron, without the chevrons, but just this Ruthenium chisel. You've got a two-tone nib there, and it is a fine nib. It is a cartridge converter pen. You also can post the cap if you want to. A little bit back-weighted, a little bit long, but you can do on that one. So if you are a cap poster, definitely check out the Parker pens if you like heavy pens. So there you have it. That's my 10 pens currently inked this week. I think let's now go and do a writing sample. So the first pen inked up this week is the Asvine P80. So I think let's do an ink swatch first. And I was just wondering, what ink did I put in here? But now I know. Now that I see more of the colour, I know what ink that is. So this is the Asvine P80. It's a piston filling pen, and this is a medium nib that I received from Joe Vitolo, and it's a steel nib. And the ink in here is actually Waterman Inspired Blue, and I was going to put a darker blue in it, but then I realised I'd actually just bought 2 bottles of Waterman Inspired Blue, and I just figured that it was a shame not to ink it up, so I put that in that pen. The next pen inked up is the Jinhao 9019, and I'm just double checking it is an M nib, medium. We'll do an ink swatch, and this, I like this colour ink a lot, and I think it works well in this nib as well. So this is a Jinhao 9019 in a medium steel nib, and it's inked up with Dominant Industries. Is it Dominant Industry or Industries? I think it's Dominant Industry, and it's Earl Grey tea. But that is a beautiful ink, and typically I would normally only just use that in a broad nib, but I think in that medium nib it actually comes out quite nicely. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is actually inked up with the same ink. So we'll see if there's any difference in terms of colour of this ink swatch once it's dried. So this is the Montblanc, and it's the, I'm going to see if I can put in a Writer's Edition Jules Verne, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is, as I said, Waterman Inspired Blue, which is a really nice coloured ink, and you can see it's a little bit darker in this pen than the Asvine pen. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is Robert Louis Stevenson. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And you can see here it is quite a dark coloured ink. So this is the Montblanc Writer's Edition. And I'm actually going to run out of space here. It's Robert Louis Stevenson. I probably shouldn't have abbreviated that. It's a medium and it's an 18 cat G nib, gold nib. And the ink in here is diamine graphite, which is a very dark grey, almost black coloured ink. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen. And we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see there, it's quite a nice coloured ink. So this is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And the ink in here is Pilot Oroshizuku, and it's Agi Sei, which is a nice sort of bluey mauve, sort of forget-me-not blue kind of colour of ink. The next pen inked up is the Conway Stewart, and this is the Centenary. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this nib is not only broad, but it's got a slight bounce to it as well, which I like. So this is the Conway Stewart Centenary. And it's a broad, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And I say spring to it, like you can get a little bit more line variation out of it. And then the ink in here is KWZ Grey Lux, which again is a very dark grey ink. My graphite's actually dried a little bit lighter now. KWZ Grey Lux will probably stay more black looking. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition Le Petit Prince Aviator, and this is a Solitaire Doué model. So we'll do an ink swatch here, and this is a lovely coloured ink, and I now have, I want to say 4 bottles of it. I was just going to actually have a look on my ink database, but I have a horrible feeling that I haven't put the new bottles in there, so that could be a little bit interesting. Let's see. Oh no, I did. So apparently I have 5 bottles of this ink now, so that's quite a lot of ink. So this is the Montblanc, and I'm just going to put it in Le Petit Prince, otherwise I'm going to run out of space. Le Petit Prince. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 cat gold nib, and the ink in here is KWZ Nuki Brown. But that's a lot of bottles. I'm not going to run out of that anytime soon. I do like that ink. It's becoming almost my favourite brown ink now. So I kind of want to buy another 2 bottles of it if they have it at the pen show in October. But that's going to take me to 7 bottles. That really, I don't need 7 bottles. I know that once that ink is gone, it's probably gone for life. But even if I said, I've been in this hobby now for 8 years, even if I said that I used a bottle of that, which is unlikely, a year, that's another 7 years of writing with that ink. And it's probably closer to 10 years or even double to 14 years. So I really don't need another bottle or two of that ink. But it's not going to stop me. So the next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is the Brothers Grimm. And when I say it's not going to stop me, it probably will stop me actually buying that ink. But I need to shame myself. I don't need another bottle of the same ink. But when I like an ink, I like an ink, and I like to make sure that I don't run out of it. So this is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, Brothers Grimm. And it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And the ink in here is, I want to say, let me have a look. It is KWZ Grey Lux again. And it'll be interesting to see how these two pan out once they're dry. I think it's going to be fairly similar. The next pen inked up is the Montblanc Writer's Edition, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle 1902 edition. And I love this pen. I love Sherlock Holmes stories. And I like this got themes on the pen from Sherlock Holmes. I wish it was called a Sherlock Holmes pen though, but I know these are writers' editions. Technically, it was Arthur or Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and not Sherlock Holmes because he wasn't a writer. So Montblanc, and this is the writers' edition, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and it's a medium, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Montblanc Toffee Brown. And I did think at one point of maybe getting the Writer's Edition ink. They are expensive inks for what they really are. And I do think that they're a little bit kind of overpriced for the small amount of ink that you actually receive. But I had Montblanc Toffee Brown, and it probably is actually the same ink, just a different name. And then the last pen inked up is the Parker, and this is the Prestige and the Ruthenium Chisel. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And this looks a light grey, but it really normally isn't. So this is the Parker Duofold Prestige, and it's the Ruthenium Chisel. It's a fine, and it's an 18 karat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Diamine. You guessed it, Earl Grey. But typically, Diamine Earl Grey is a lot darker than that, at least in most of my pens anyway. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. We have an Asvine P80 in a medium steel nib inked up with Waterman inspired blue. We have a Jinhao 1919 in a medium steel nib inked up with Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jules Verne in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Waterman inspired blue. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition, and this is Robert Louis Stevenson in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamond Graphite. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Jane Austen in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Washizuku Aji Sei. We have a Conway Stewart Centenary in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Grey Lux. We have a Montblanc Le Petit Prince medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Nuki Brown. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Brothers Grimm in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Grey Lux. We have a Montblanc Writer's Edition Sir Arthur Conan Doyle in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Montblanc Toffee Brown. And then we have a Parker Duofold Prestige Ruthenium Chisel in a fine 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. So there you have it. That's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.